You think you know pizza. You've eaten it your whole life, maybe every week. But what if I told you the pizza you know isn't really pizza at all? What if I told you the original version had no tomatoes, was considered a food for the poorest of the poor, and that the tomato, today its signature ingredient, was once believed to be literally poisonous? Today, we're peeling back the layers of history like slices from a fresh pie, exploring how this humble street food from Naples was elevated by a queen, reshaped by immigrants, and ultimately weaponized by two American fast food empires in what became the legendary Pizza Wars. This is the secret history of pizza. Before we can talk about modern pizza, we have to go back because the idea of putting toppings on a flat piece of baked bread is an ancient one. People across the Mediterranean have been doing it for millennia. The ancient Greeks had a flatbread called plakuntos, and the Romans had a similar dish they called panis focaccius, literally hearth bread. These were like the early black and white sketches of a future masterpiece. The basic idea was there, but the color and detail were missing. There's even a scene in Virgil's epic poem, the Aeneid, where the heroes eat their meal off of thin wheaten cakes, and then eat the cakes too. These were the distant ancestors of pizza, simple, functional breads often topped with whatever was lying around, olive oil, herbs, maybe a few bits of cheese. They were both the plate and the meal, but this wasn't pizza as we know it. For that, our story has to jump to a very specific time and a very specific place, 18th century Naples. Picture Naples in the 1700s. It was a bustling, overcrowded port city, and a huge part of its population was made up of the working poor, known as the Lazzaroni. These folks spent all day working outside and had one constant problem. They needed food that was ridiculously cheap and could be eaten fast. Think of it like a modern food truck parked outside a busy construction site. It's all about serving people who need a quick, affordable meal without stopping their day. The solution came from street vendors called pizzaiuoli, who sold simple baked flatbreads. This was the birth of pizza as its own unique dish. But these early pizzas would be totally unrecognizable to us today, topped with the cheapest ingredients you could find: lard, coarse salt, and garlic. And then came the ingredient that changed everything: the tomato. A Spanish conquistador brought it to Europe from the Americas in the 16th century, but for nearly 200 years it was viewed with deep suspicion. The tomato was like a controversial new technology. Wealthy aristocrats called it the poison apple, terrified it caused sickness, and refused to touch it. But down in Naples, where hunger was a far more immediate threat than superstition, the starving Lazzaroni started throwing it on their flatbreads. Slowly, the combo of baked dough and tomato began to catch on. The first true marinara pizza appeared, named not for seafood, but for the marinai, the local fishermen, who'd grab one after a long day at sea. Still, pizza remained a fiercely local dish. It was like a popular local band, a hero in its hometown, but completely unknown to the rest of the world. It was a food of poverty, not pride. That is, until a queen got hungry. The year is 1889. King Umberto I and Queen Margherita are touring their newly unified kingdom, and they've just arrived in Naples. Legend has it that the queen was tired of the heavy, complicated French food that was standard for royalty. It was like she'd been listening to complex orchestral music for months and just wanted to hear a simple, catchy folk song. She wanted to try something local, so she summoned the most famous pizzaiuolo in Naples, a man named Raffaele Esposito, to the royal palace. Esposito presented her with 3 pizzas. The first 2 were traditional, but the third made history. In a flash of patriotic genius, he created a pizza with toppings that mirrored the colors of the brand new Italian flag: red tomatoes, white mozzarella, and green basil. The queen loved it. Esposito, seeing a golden opportunity, named his creation Pizza Margherita in her honor. This was the 19th century equivalent of a massive celebrity endorsement. The story spread like wildfire, and overnight, pizza's reputation was transformed. Suddenly, this humble street food was cool. It was no longer just food for the poor. It was a dish worthy of a queen, a symbol of Italian pride. Now, some historians suggest the official thank you letter from the palace might have been a clever forgery. But whether it's 100% fact or brilliant marketing, the story's impact was undeniable. Even with its new royal status, pizza was still a secret to the rest of the world. Its global journey began when millions of Italians immigrated to the United States in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, opening bakeries in cities like New York. In 1905, Gennaro Lombardi opened America's first licensed pizzeria, but even then, pizza was mostly confined to Italian-American neighborhoods. The moment that truly launched pizza into the mainstream came after World War II. The post-war economic boom created a new middle class with cars and money to spend, creating a demand for convenient, family-friendly restaurants. Two different sets of brothers saw their chance. First, in 1958, Kansas, brothers Dan and Frank Carney borrowed $600 to open a small pizza joint. The building looked like a hut, and the sign only had room for 8 letters. They called it Pizza Hut, focusing on a sit-down experience for the whole family. Then, in 1960, Michigan, brothers Tom and James Monahan bought a shop called Dominick's, which Tom would rename Domino's Pizza. You could say they were in two different races. Pizza Hut was building the family station wagon, comfortable and meant for a pleasant outing. Domino's was building a race car obsessed with one thing: speed. Tom Monahan built his business on delivery, leading to the 30 minutes or it's free guarantee. This kicked off the pizza wars. What they did for pizza was what Henry Ford did for the car. They took a regional specialty and put it on an assembly line through franchising and massive supply chains, making it standardized, affordable, and available to everyone. They transformed it from an Italian specialty into an all-American staple, inventing new styles like Pizza Hut's pan pizza and the rapid-fire delivery that defined Domino's. Pizza was no longer just a food, it was a service. From the back streets of Naples to suburban America, pizza's journey has been one of constant reinvention. Today, it's a global industry worth over $145 billion. It's a food that is somehow both hyper-local and hyper-global. It's a lot like music. You have global pop stars selling out stadiums. That's your Domino's and Pizza Huts. But you also have incredibly skilled street musicians playing traditional instruments in their hometown. Those are your artisanal pizzerias. Both are vital parts of the same world, and yet its origins haven't been forgotten. In a beautiful full-circle moment, UNESCO recognized the art of Neapolitan pizzaiuolo as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity in 2017. This wasn't about a single recipe, but about the entire craft. The hand movements for stretching the dough, the mastery of the wood-fired oven, and the cultural ritual passed down through generations. So the next time you open that square box, remember what's really inside. It's not just bread, cheese, and tomato. It's a story of poverty and creativity, of migration and adaptation. It's a food born from hunger on the streets of Naples, elevated by a queen and launched into a global empire by ambitious brothers from Kansas and Michigan. It's proof of how a simple meal can travel the world and become something beloved by just about everyone. What's your all-time favorite style of pizza? And what other food histories are you curious about? Let us know down in the comments. If you had fun uncovering this secret history, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the food you eat every day. Thanks for watching.